Hello, my name's Kelly. I was very overwhelmed with life. Felt like I needed someone to steer me and guide me, so I had a look for a local life coach and came across Heather, who I affectionately call Holistic Heather. So when I first met Heather and came to My Holistic, very overwhelmed, frazzled, burnt out, felt like I needed someone to put me back together. I felt like everyone wanted something from me, but no one was giving anything back to me. So it was take, and I just needed to be able to set some boundaries. Heather isn't my first sort of therapist, counsellor, coach. I've had 4 or 5 in my lifetime at different stages in my life, but Heather's the only one I've really connected with and resonated with. In terms of Heather's words, she's like, you don't always have to pick the card up. So sometimes something happens and I mindfully sort of engage before I open. So that has helped. So I'm more mindful in how I approach things, how I approach other people and think about their feelings. I think the biggest thing I've took from Heather is that having me time and self-care is something that everyone should do, and don't be ashamed or feel guilty for anyone that thinks you shouldn't. And what I do find with Heather, she doesn't, as counsellors can't, but they don't sort of tell you what to do, but she's very good at steering you. So steering and guiding and playing devil's advocate. You know, there has been times when, you know, I've come in and ranted for an hour because something's happened at work or something's happened with my husband, and she's sat on the fence, but then made me realise my behaviours probably aren't that great either. Like, I've learnt a lot about food, nutrition, what works, what doesn't work, sort of things, foods that you should have for certain ailments, etc. When I came here, I was very much not an advocate of bread. So, because it bloats me psychologically, it makes me feel fatter than I am. But she's taught me to think of bread not as the devil as such. She said women from the 80s generally think bread's the devil. So she introduced me to a lady in Warmley that did sourdough, and it's good homemade bread. So I have it every now and again, and she taught me a lot about bread, really, to make me psychologically think differently about bread. But when you do eat the way that Heather suggests, you do feel better. But yeah, she's just sort of made me realise you do need to look after yourself. So even though I say I'm here for a good time, not a long time, just make the good times good. If I was to describe what it's like working with Heather, it's inspirational because the lady's been through a lot of self and still comes out and gives back, and I'm all for giving back. For me, I think it's empowered me and made me more confident, because I was always I've always been confident from the day I was born, really. And I think what Heather has done is brought that out more, and I'm much more confident. So I felt like a shadow of myself when I first met with Heather. I wasn't very confident, I'd lost all my confidence, and I feel like I'm back there now and I can walk into a room and not be worried that everyone's staring at me.